If y'all take a look over there, you're gonna see I got a calf in the preconditioning area. And so I did have a sick calf this morning. I got him caught over there, and I gave her a shot of Zactran. I gave her a shot of Gomethramycin. And I'm gonna see how she does. I think that what happened was that the animal, with the weather changing and with the weather being what it is, I think that the animal just ended up getting sick. And so I'm gonna have to see. I got her put her over in the preconditioning pen in case I need to get to her. I want to keep a good eye on her. When these animals are sick, I give them food and then I measure how much they eat, right? I always say that one of the big indicators for me, if I see an animal and then they stop eating, that's a very big indicator that something's wrong with the animal, is if the animal stops eating. And so I put them in the preconditioning pen. I give them a measured amount of feed, and then I check the feed every day to make sure that they're eating. And if they're not eating, then that's not good, right? And so I need to do something for that animal to make sure that the animal gets back to good health. And so right now, the thing about these animals is that when I take a look at the animals, I can actually visibly see that their guts are expanding. And if you've watched my channel for an extended period of time, you know that I call this a grass gut. I call this grass belly. But when these animals, when they start eating a large amount of food, you can actually visibly see their stomach expand. And so these animals right now, I can actually visibly see that their guts are expanding. And so right now, the big thing is that when this starts happening, when this starts happening, at first the animals are going to look fat. They're going to look fat, but if they start having diarrhea, that's actually very bad. And so that's the first sign that they're going to start developing gas problems. They start looking fat, and then they start having diarrhea. And so I'm checking the rear ends of the animals to make sure that I don't have diarrhea going around. You know, I got this animal with diarrhea right here, but I'm checking the rest of the herd to make sure that they're not having I'm not having diarrhea across 10% of my herd or something like that. Because if these animals, if they start having diarrhea, that's a sign that they're going to start having that's one of the first indicators that they're actually developing acidosis. And if acidosis gets very severe, it's not good. I've actually had an animal bloat to death eating grass before. And so, you know, these animals, I'm keeping an eye on them, making sure that they're not bloating up like gas balloons, making sure they're not having diarrhea. I do visibly see them expanding, and so that's a good sign. And next week, I'll be fertilizing my grass. And so I called my co-op yesterday. I called my fertilizer yard yesterday, and the fertilizer yard, they rent out fertilizer buggies for free. And so I asked them about these fertilizer buggies, and I asked them, do they have any ground driven ones, and do they have any or are they all ground driven, are they all PTO driven? And they told me that they actually have both. And so the cool thing is I can go over there, I can just tow a buggy back home, and then I don't need to stick it on a PTO to get the thing to broadcast fertilizer for me. I can just drive across my field, open the hatch, and it will broadcast the fertilizer for me. And so I'm just going to take my truck over there on Saturday. I'm going to go pick up a ground-driven fertilizer buggy. And then I'm going to pick up fertilizer, and then I'm going to go and fertilize. I'm going to fertilize this field. I'm probably going to put about maybe about half a ton of urea on this field. I'm going to see if they have... Well, actually, one of the local stores actually has a water-soluble sulfur, 90% sulfur, Dispersisol. And so I'm going to buy a couple of bags of that. I'll buy 3 bags of that. It'll cost me about $100, and I'll buy about $250, $300 worth of urea. I'll have them mix it at the yard for me, put it in the spreader, in the broadcaster. And then I'll broadcast about maybe about 30 pounds of nitrogen per acre. And then I'll also broadcast about maybe 10 pounds of sulfur per acre. And then I'm going to take the fertilizer buggy over to my new field. And then I'm going to fertilize my new field. And the water situation, I was taking a look at different things that I could do, and I actually found these things called water bladders. But I guess it's kind of a neat, and it's like this fabric that you can fill up with water. And they were having a Black Friday sale on these water fabric, these water bladders. And I was able to buy 4 250-gallon water bladders for 60 bucks. I bought them for 70 bucks after shipping, 75 bucks after shipping in Texas. And so I figured that if I have 500 gallons of water over at the field, and then I have 500 gallons, so the big idea is that I'm gonna put 2 water bladders over there, and I'm gonna gravity feed them into some water troughs. And then I'm gonna have two water bladders over here, and then I'm gonna fill up the water bladders, and I'm gonna take them over there. And I'm just gonna start starting about the 2nd week of December. I'll actually start taking my animals to the new field. And so I'm going to broadcast the fertilizer this coming weekend. Here in about 4 or 5 days, I'll be broadcasting fertilizer on both of my fields. And by about within 2.5 weeks, the water bladder is supposed to be here between December 3rd and December 7th. And when I get the water bladders, I'm going to put 2 over at the new farm, and I'm going to put 2 on a trailer over here. I'm going to fill them up with water. I'm going to take them over there, and then I'm going to fill up the water bladders over there, and then I'm going to put a couple of water troughs out there for the animals, and I'm going to gravity feed the water into the water troughs via the watering system that I have, the little automated watering system. And if I have 500 gallons of water over there, then I should, I'll have enough water to last the animals. If I have 10, 20, if I just take 10 of my biggest animals, so the big idea is that I'm going to take my biggest animals first, right? Because the biggest animals, the bigger they are, the less problems they have, right? I talk about this all the time. In terms of cattle, a general rule of thumb is that up until, once they hit about 500 pounds, the chance of them dying drops to about 1/3. All right, they're probably 3 times more likely to die at 250 pounds than they are at 500 pounds. And so once these animals hit about 500 pounds, I'm going to take them over to my new field. And then the big idea for the business right now, I've talked about this, is to get in the backgrounding business. But I'm effectively looking to take my animals from about 450 pounds, about 500 pounds, up to about 800-900 pounds by feeding them grass. Right, that's the big idea, and I've already talked about this in great detail. Why am I doing this? Because when I grow grass, it's practically free. This is a very good example of what I'm talking about. But me, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put fertilizer on my new field, and I'm gonna put fertilizer on this field, and it's gonna cost like $1,000 bucks. All right, me putting 30 pounds of nitrogen on this entire field, me putting half a ton of urea, and it's gonna cost like 350 bucks. All right, me fertilizing the new field, I'm anticipating that I'm gonna have to put some dolomite lime on it, and I'm gonna fertilize enough grass to feed about 10 cattle. I'll choose the best 10 acres that I got over there. I have some grass over there. It's not exactly the best grass, but I'll choose the best 10 acres and I'll fertilize the 10 acres. And 10 acres of grass will feed, will cost me, if I'm gonna fertilize with dolomite lime and a general purpose fertilizer, depending on, and also I got to consider that I'm not going to be plowing the soil. And so, there's not really any reason for me to put a positively charged fertilizer on my field right now if I'm only anticipating that I get 2 days of rain, right? I mean, and so depending on what I decide to do, what I'll end up, more than likely what I'll end up doing is, putting some dolomite lime and maybe some sort of nitrogen, And so I'm gonna have to think about exactly what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna cost me about $1,000 bucks, and I will legitimately grow enough grass to feed like probably 70 cattle. All right, and so it's practically free. And when I run my numbers over the long term, it's about $15 a month per animal. If I'm gonna give you my numbers, and I'm just gonna tell you my numbers, and I'm gonna give you the honest information. When I take a look at my numbers over the long term, if I'm gonna put on about 75 pounds a month per animal, it costs me about $15 a month per animal. That's about what it costs me in terms of grass. If I were gonna put them on grass, that's about what it costs me. And so, in terms of the business plan, so I've got the cattle. I'm gonna start taking the cattle over to my new farm. I bought a couple of water bladders. I bought 4 water bladders. It's like a big old water fabric that you just fill up with water, and they hold 250 gallons apiece. And I got them on sale for 15 bucks each, 17 bucks each, and so I paid $75 for 4 of them delivered. I'm gonna put 2 over at the new ranch. I'm gonna have 2 over here on a trailer that I fill up with water, and I'm gonna take it over there. I'm gonna start taking my animals over to the new farm by about the second week of December. And this weekend, I'm gonna go and fertilize both of my fields. And in terms of the business idea, in terms of what's going on, in terms of the business side of things, I have a non-payment agreement until April, and so I effectively have about 3 months on my new field to start generating money, so that I can start paying for that new field. And in terms of I'm going to utilize the asset to pay for the asset, right? And so I have about a 3-month running head start. In terms of the overall look of my cattle, I would say that the average weight of my cattle right now is probably about 400, 450, somewhere in that range, about 400, 450. I have about well, if I have until April, then as of right now I have 4.5 months. And so in 4.5 months I would anticipate that I can get a majority of these animals, more than half of these animals, to about 800 pounds. All right, somewhere over 700. And if I take them to 800 pounds and I do it on grass, which is what I'm gonna do right now, right? That's the big idea. I have grass over on my new field. It's not the best grass, but it is some kind of a grass. I'm gonna fertilize it this weekend, and then a week later I'm gonna put my animals on it. I'm gonna have 10 animals walking around on 40 acres. That will free up space on my farm too, and I can start taking my animals over there, the bigger ones. If they're about 450, I can start loading them up and taking them over to my new farm. And then I can increase my cash flow opportunity by running more cattle, right? That's the big idea. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this, right? If you've been watching my business plan, what is the business plan? Why am I doing what I'm doing? I took the money that I made and I purchased more land. Why did I purchase more land? Because if I purchase more land, I can run more cattle, and if I run more cattle, then I increase my cash flow opportunity. And also, in terms of a reality perspective, when I take a look at what I do, effectively, when it comes to running cattle and farming, as long as I am running cattle and farming and I don't develop some major problem, like I start doing drugs, or I start drinking all the time, or anything like that, I start gambling. Granted that I don't start doing anything like that, which I'm just gonna be honest, okay? It's like when I don't think that I have the I've heard of some people call it the addictive personality, but me, I don't think I really have that. I don't gamble. I don't do hard drugs. I actually see so many crackheads on a daily basis. I see so many of them that it actually like drugs kind of disgust me. In terms of hard drugs, like if hard drugs, they kind of, opiates and things like, they actually disgust me, because I actually, it's like when you see these people and they're they're on these super hard drugs and they look like zombies. I mean, it's actually kind of disgusting. I mean, it's almost like their flesh is like their bodies are actually decaying. Like they actually have pits in their bodies. I mean, they're bleeding all over the place from like growths, and they have it's almost like boils, and I mean their teeth are falling out and they're completely emaciated. I mean, sometimes they're passing out standing up, and I mean it's not funny, and it's I actually think that it's kind of disgusting. And so I don't see myself doing hard drugs. I don't see myself because it's like me, I do get enjoyment out of life, but I don't go and like me, I'll go and I'll buy myself a cool gun, right? I'll go and buy myself a cool gun. I'll go on a hunting trip. I'll grow my business. I'll do things like that, right? I mean, I may even go and buy myself a nice truck, right? I'll go and buy myself a nice truck, but I'm not going to be like, I made a bunch of money, it's time to do a bunch of hard drugs and get myself 15 girlfriends and gamble a bunch of money. That's not me, okay? I'm just, and I don't want to, give myself bad juju, but I'm just going to be honest. That's just not me. Maybe it's because of my personality, but or maybe it's just because of the things that I've seen in my life. I don't know what it is, but that's not me. All right, I see these crackheads all the time. It's kind of nasty. I mean, you see whole camps full of them. You see them, there's 15 of them in a camp, and I mean 3 of them are sitting by the road, passing out, nodding off. One of them's holding a sign about to fall in the middle of the street. I mean, you take a look at them and it's like they're missing all their teeth. They look like zombies. I mean, they got parts of their, it's almost like parts of their body are missing. Like they got these big holes in them, and it's nasty. I mean, it's not good. I mean, I see these people all the time, every single day. It's not funny, and so You know, like, to me, it's not I don't see myself doing things like that. And so you know, the big idea, well, right now, you know, I actually got myself to the point in terms of my business. The whole idea right now is to put my animals on grass. I have grass over on my new field. It's not the best grass. I actually have a lot of brush as well. And but in terms of what am I looking to accomplish? Well, you know, if I'm only going to put 10 cattle, it'll take me about a week to put 10 cattle on it. And it's gonna, you know, I'm gonna fertilize it this weekend, so that's a 2-week period. And you know, my animals, they, you know, I'm not gonna take them over there until they're about 450, 500. And so you know, but I'm gonna start taking my animals over to the new field. I'm gonna put them on the grass over there. I'm gonna fertilize it. I'm gonna get them to eat the grass. And then as I make money, and I have a 4.5 month you know, period of non-payment. And so I'm gonna make as much money as I can over the next year. And I would say that I'm gonna, well, you know, I'm just gonna, okay, so the big idea for me in terms of like, where do I see myself going, you know, like what, you know, what is the plan from here, right? I mean, I've gotten here. Now what's the plan, right? More or less, you know, I would say that I've actually entered the second stage of the plan. Right, I was saying that the first stage of the plan is to take my current earnings, reinvest them into growing my cash flow opportunity. So that was the first step of the plan, right? If you know, if you've been watching my you know, if you've been you know, keeping track of my business plan, I've actually said this multiple times, you know, if not borderline a couple dozen times. You know, I've already said that the first stage of the plan was to reinvest my current earnings. I'm going to take my earnings that I'm making right now and reinvest a portion of them so that I can buy a piece of land which is equitable, and I can do it via leverage, right? And so I seller financed the thing. I got myself a new piece of land, and the reason that I'm buying myself a new piece of land is because if I have a new piece of land, I can increase my cash flow opportunity by running more cattle. And if I run more cattle, you know, farming is not going to be where I fail in terms of farming, in terms of a straight skill set. Like, if you actually watch me and you actually look at what I do, in terms of a straight skill set, I may be one of the you know, and I, you know, and when I say these things, you know, if you know anybody else that can do this, then I would love to meet them. Okay, I've actually, you know, like me, I actually don't feel I wouldn't feel animosity towards this individual. I would actually love to meet them, because you have to understand that it's like I'm, you know, effectively I'm the only one that made it. All right, and that's not, it's kind of like I guess what they say is like, you know, it's lonely at the top. There is kind of a truth about it. I'm not saying it's lonely. You know, I'm not asking for people to run in and group hug me, you know, but there's kind of a truth in that statement. It's lonely at the top. It's effectively just me. All right, I mean, it's like, you know, how many people do you know? It's like, you know, I'm gonna go and buy a field in the middle of nowhere tomorrow, and I'm gonna start myself a cattle business and just start generating myself massive amounts of money. How many people do you know that can do that? It's probably just me. All right, I mean, and I've already talked about, you know, and you know, and if I actually found somebody else that could do it as well, I would love to meet this individual. I mean, you know, if anything, we should actually work together, right? I mean, you know, can you run 5,000 cattle? Can you grow grass to a level and maintain grass at a level where you can run 3 or 4 or 5 cattle an acre? You know, can you run a business better? Can you run a business? I mean, you know, something, right? I mean, can you start a business? I mean, something, right? I mean, you know, and it's like, can you, and if you can do all of these things to somewhat of a degree like me, then, you know, we should definitely be working together, because, I mean, why wouldn't we, right? I mean, we could, I mean, granted that we don't just butt heads all the time, but I mean, you know, there is kind of I guess a truth in that statement that it's lonely at the top. I legitimately don't know a single person that effectively generates as much money as me. I don't know, and I don't know one person. All right, not a single person. And you know, the whole point of this the business plan right now is, I was going to take my earnings, reinvest a portion of my earnings to increase my cash flow opportunities. And then once I increased my cash flow opportunity, I was going to generate as many resources as I can. I'm just effectively going to collect as much money as I can. And then when I hit a certain point, I will instinctively, I would say that I'm going to instinctively realize that I need to expand my business. Right, that's the big idea. It's like, once I hit a certain point, it's like I may need to go and buy myself a very big piece of land. right? I may need to, right? I may effectively just be generating so much money that it just doesn't make sense for me not to. So that's about, I would say, about 1 year goal. And so and I was talking about this in terms of my investment funnel, in terms of a business strategy and in an investment funnel. I was actually talking about my investment funnel. At the very beginning of my investment funnel, there was cattle, and then there was cattle feed. And cattle feed, it really depends on the commodity markets and the local markets, depending on what I can get. And number 2 is land. I like investing in land. After I invest in cattle and I invest in cattle feed, I'll invest in land. But in reality, it's like up here is cattle, down here is cattle feed, and then down here is land, and then down here is equipment, and then down here is. And so the last stage of the investment funnel, in terms of the investment funnel that I have made, the last stage of the investment funnel is effectively I am making so much money that I cannot invest all of it, even if I tried. And at that point, I pay taxes on the money, and then I can go and buy myself whatever I want, right? And so I'm actually at a point now where I would actually money will actually start escaping the funnel. So I've actually gotten to a point where I'm actually generating enough capital by running my business. I'm actually generating enough capital by running my business to where money is actually escaping the funnel, and I'm going to end up paying taxes, and then I can just buy whatever I want. If I want to go and buy myself a Corvette Stingray, I'll go and buy myself a Corvette Stingray, right? If I want to build myself a house, I'll build myself a house. If I want to go, whatever it is that I want to buy, I can buy whatever I want, right? And I would anticipate that within about 6 months, money starts escaping the funnel. I'm actually at a point where it's like, even if I tried, I could not invest all of the money. I bought myself a new truck. I bought myself a I bought myself 150 cattle. I bought myself a new truck. I bought myself whatever, right? I'm looking to buy myself a new piece of land, and but it's going to take a while to get the contract finished and everything. And so what should I do? The money is now escaping the funnel. I pay taxes on the money, and then I can go and buy whatever I want. And so, well, the thing is that if I did not expand my farm, if I did not take the money that I was making on this farm and buy myself another farm, I would have already had money escaping the funnel. All right. I'm actually starting about yesterday. I'm actually at a point where it's like, I've actually, dumped as much money as I needed to into my new property. I've already finished that portion of the business strategy. And as of right now, the big idea is that I'm just going to collect as much money as I can. How am I going to do that? I'm going to put my animals on grass, right? I mean, my animals are probably at an average weight of 450. And, I got grass here. I got grass over there too. I got 4 water bladders that I ordered. I'm going to put 2 over there, and I'm going to put 2 on a trailer over here. I'm going to start hauling water over there. And I would say that I have to go over there about 3 times a week anyway. And so anytime that I go over there, I'll just haul more water over there. And if I have 520 gallons of water, then, and I only have 10 cattle, that 520 gallons of water will last my animals 3 or 4 days easily. They're not going to run out of water. And so I'm gonna start my new farm by doing that. I'm gonna fertilize it this weekend. I'm gonna start taking animals over there on the second week of December. I'm gonna use water bladders I'm gonna use the water storage bladders to gravity feed water into troughs for the animals, and I'm gonna start taking my animals over there. I have grass coming in over here. I have grass growing in over there. And effectively, as of right now, I think that in terms of a broader reality, like if I were to talk about a reality, a lot of people, the thing that they want is this. They ultimately want to get to this part, but they want to get to the part where they're making so much money that they can do whatever they want, right? That's ultimately the thing that people want to do when it comes to money. And and I'm going to give you that's what I think. I don't know if that is what, but that's what I think. I think that ultimately when people look at money, this is what they want to get to. They want to get to the point where it's like, oh my God, now I make so much money, I can do whatever I want, right? I mean, I'm generating in excess of like $10,000-$15,000 a month. Even after I pay for everything, I still have like 120 grand a year left over, right? That's where everyone wants to get. I think that is what people think about when they think about money. But in terms of my reality, when I give you my perspective, the money is negligible. All right, whether I make, after a certain point, the money becomes negligible. The money, it's I'm not going to say it's, I think negligible is the most accurate way that I can put it as of right now. And if things change, I will update that information. But in terms of the money, after a certain point, I mean, granted that you don't have like major spending problems or something, I mean, you're not you're like a complete doofus idiot, and you go and buy yourself 3 Mercedes Benzes. I mean, once you start making like a 30, 40, $50,000 a month, I mean, you can't do anything. The money doesn't do anything. All right, I mean, granted that like like me, I don't want to go and buy myself a private jet, right? I mean, if I don't want to buy myself like if I want to buy myself a private jet, sure, I need, but I mean, after a certain point, the money, in terms of improving the quality of my life, it doesn't do anything. All right, the quality of my life was just about as good as me making, when I made, like me, when I sat here on a 10.5 acre field and I made myself $15,000-$20,000 a month, I effectively already had enough money to do anything that I wanted, anything. All right, me doubling, tripling my income, going to $40, $45, $50,000 a month, it's not going to do anything. And I think that that's something that's an interesting perspective change. The money becomes negligible, and I think that this is something that is very important to understand from the very beginning. If you understand this and you fundamentally understand this idea, it is a very good thing to understand. It's that the money is negligible. Money is always the easy part. All right, I can give somebody money and they could not be a farmer. That's the thing about money, and that's what I mean by money is negligible. If you're going to learn how to farm, it is going to be much, I'm telling you, in terms of the difficulty of the work, farming is so hard that, I mean, effectively, if you're taking a look at somebody like me, this is a borderline, is effectively a 0% success rate. 0%. Effectively, nobody makes it. Money is negligible. You should be focused on learning how to do the work. All right, I've already talked about this, but what's kind of the golden spot in terms of like, if you were actually looking to become a farmer, what's kind of the golden spot, right? It's 20 acres. If you buy yourself a 20-acre piece of land, you take it to the bank, and in my area, a 20-acre piece of land will cost you about $1,200 a month. It will cost about $1,200 a month to buy a 20-acre piece of land. Somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200 a month. You can negotiate the contract to give yourself a running head start. I've got the financing all squared away. I've got the financing squared away and everything. And will you give me a 9-month or 6-month option contract, and then a 6-month non-payment agreement, right? And then you bought yourself 1 year. And then you can utilize the farm to make your money, right? And then you pay, and then once you start making payments on it, it's going to be about $1,200 a month. All right, it's going to be about $1,000 a month. And on that 20-acre field, if you do things, even at a 10% level, I've talked about why is it so important that you get to the 10% mark. It is so important that you get to the 10% mark, because if you get to the 10% mark, you can effectively farm well enough to use your assets to pay for your debt service. And then you can practice for free. And if you practice for free, now you're on your own. Now it's going to take, now you just got to do it for, 15, 20 years. And if you do that for 10, 15, 20 years, then you will effectively end up like this, right? Where you're effectively doing 10 times better than you were when you first started. All right, and so that's the big idea goal, and I give these plans and these ideas with the absolute sincerity of my existence. I don't know. I'm not leading you astray. I'm not maliciously leading you in the wrong direction. This is genuinely what I believe. At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide. But if you get to the 10% mark, you can actually let's say you get on a 20-acre piece of land, and you run whatever, right? Whatever, right? On a 20-acre piece of land, you run 40 cattle a year, and if you run 40 cattle a year and you make a $600 net profit on each animal, that's a 24 grand, and you pay $1,200 a month for your land, you still have an extra $1,000 a month, and then you can use that $1,000 a month to fertilize your grass and to buy whatever you need, and you're also storing equity in your property. That's how you get started. And once you get started, and then you can essentially practice for free, and you have equitable assets, then you can practice for free for a very long period of time, work on getting better every single day, work 7 days a week, work for 15 years, and then once you have accomplished that, you will eventually end up in a place where you're something like this. All right, and then it's like now you're at a place where it's like, you know, it's like if you want to make money, all you have to do is go and start yourself a new farm. You can you know, you can go and effectively start a farm anywhere. You know, anytime that you farm, you make so much money, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you know, you want to be in the top 0.00001% of the entire US economy, here you go. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, you know, I mean, but at the end of the day, the money's negligible. I don't really even care about the status. Like, I understand that I am, you know, I am in the top, maybe you know, the top percentiles of success, financial success in America. I understand that I'm there, right? Like, but me, that does not matter to me. The status does not matter, right? I mean, it does not. I don't go and buy myself a Lamborghini. I don't go and buy myself a Rolex. I don't go and you know, whatever, right? You know, me, I really don't care. I mean, I think that that's one of the big things about me is that, you know, people's, and maybe it's well, I think that it was actually very beneficial for me that people, you know, what people think about me, it doesn't matter to me. I don't know how else to put that than to just be completely straightforward about it. And in reality, you should I would suggest that to a very large degree, you don't care about what people think about you either. I mean, it's just a waste of time. I mean, you're better off just going off and making money. If you make a massive amount of money, you know, then you know, and you find your peace with God, I mean, you know, 99.9999% of the time, that's more important than anything else you could have possibly done. All right, just go and make a massive amount of money. You know, don't sell your soul to the devil, and you know, find your peace with God, and just call it a day. All right, and so you know, that's what I think. And so you know, yep, that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.